everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Charlene and this is my cozy little YouTube channel where I talk mainly about books, but also with a bit of travel and lifestyle. If you're new here, hi, thank you so much for being here, welcome. And if you're back from another video, thanks so much for coming back. And today I'm going to be talking about I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. So this is my most recent read. I literally finished it last night and I feel heartbroken after having read this book. But before I get into all of that, I'm going to quickly read you the blurb. And by the way, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. So this is just going to be me talking generally about the book so that you can hopefully make up your mind whether or not you want to read it. So let me start by reading the blurb. For a very long time, the days went by, each just like the day before. Then I began to think and everything changed. Deep underground, 39 women live imprisoned in a cage. Watched over by guards, these women have no memory of how they got there, no notion of time, and only vague recollections of their lives before. As the burn of electric light merges day into night and numberless years pass, a young girl, the 40th prisoner, sits alone and outcast in the corner. But soon she will show herself to be the key to the others' escape and survival in the strange world that awaits them above. So let me start with giving you a few little facts about it from Goodreads. So this has an average rating of 4.21 and it has 188 pages. I would describe this book as like a sci-fi dystopian fiction. But having said that, this really does like kind of sit outside of all genres really. It's really hard to pin it down into a box because it's so different from anything I've ever read before, and it's just such a unique book. Like that's probably what I would describe it as if I had to, but it's really hard to pin it into a box. So obviously I've just read you the blurb, but I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the plot overall without giving anything away. And basically the book starts with there's 40 women sitting in a cage and they don't know where they are, why they're there, what year it is, even what planet they're on, how they got there. They have no memories or recollection whatsoever of the past and what brought them there. All they know is that they're sitting in this cage where they've got very minimal supplies, and you know, they've got a toilet, they've got all their basic necessities met, but that's it. There's absolutely no frills whatsoever. They have to make their own clothes and everything, and they are being guarded constantly by guards, 3 at a time, who just walk the perimeter of the cage and keep an eye on them. And it's really strange because the guards are not there to like torture them or to do anything nasty to them. In fact, what they're trying to do is keep them as healthy as possible. They have very little food, but they give them medicines and things like that when they're sick, and they force them to sleep, and they have a very rigid structure and routine. So it's really strange. Like straight away you know that they're imprisoned, but also you don't really know why. Like I said, there are 40 women, all of which are various ages and, you know, completely different variety of women. But none of them have any recollection whatsoever of why they're there, how they got there, what happened, what, you know, who is doing this to them, nothing. There is just one girl who is our narrator, and she is the only person there. Firstly, she's the youngest. She was there right since she was a child, whereas everybody else there is a full-grown woman, so they don't really know why or how that's happened. But also she has absolutely no memories whatsoever. All she knows is the cage that she's living in and that she's been in for most of her life. All of the other women in the cage at least kind of remember parts of their lives before. None of them know how or why they're there, but they all remember their lives before this incident that happened, and yeah, that's their memories. But the narrator, whose name we actually never find out, she doesn't know at all why she's there or has no memories or recollection of before. So her whole life has been this cage. This is all she knows. I don't think it's too much to tell you because on the blurb it says, you know, that they're going to escape. So yeah, one day, and I'm not going to say how or why or what the circumstances are, but the women manage to escape the cage, and that is a huge deal to them because they've been in this cage for years and years and years. For a lot of them, the only things that they can remember is being in this cage, and they don't know how or why they're there. So once they escape the cage, they're trying to navigate the world and find out what's happened, where they are, even what planet they're on, and what has happened to the world and where everyone else is. So this is them kind of relearning survival. This is them trying to re-establish interactions and connections with each other and regain their humanity, because in the cage they were kept in really strict conditions. They weren't even allowed to like touch each other or have raised voices or have much conversation. So this is them trying to relearn everything, that all the knowledge and all the human interactions that they've lost. So I'm not going to tell you too much of what happens, but this is just a heart-wrenching, really deep and sad and hopeful and interesting story of what happens when they're out there trying to find out what's happened to them and kind of re-establish a life outside of the cage. Along the way, they come across some absolutely devastating things, and they are trying to survive for a really long time. So obviously things happen across that time, and yeah, eventually, I mean, this is a story as well told from the narrator's point of view, whose name we never learn. She's just known as the child because she was in this cage since childhood, and this is about her trying to kind of establish, without any memory of what happened before, who she is as a person. Like, she doesn't even know what she looks like. She knows nothing of education, of maths, of language, she doesn't know how to read anything. So this is also, as well as the story of these women trying to survive and trying to find out what happened to them and re-establish their humanity, this is also the story of the narrator trying to find out who she is and who she can be of value in a world like this. Actually, right from the beginning of this story, you are given like a foreword, and it tells you in the introduction, you're told immediately in the introduction that there's actually going to be no set in stone answers. So if you're kind of going into this looking for, you know, exact and black and white detail of what happened and why they're there, you're not going to get it, because it tells you right from the very beginning that this is kind of very much open to interpretation. And I really liked that. Usually I'm a person that's like, I need to know exactly what's going on, but because this is told from the narrator's perspective, and because we know that she has been born into this, not born, but put into this situation with no memories of before, and she doesn't even have any education or knowledge or anything, we are literally learning through her eyes. So we learn what she learns and no more than that. It's a really, really interesting concept. Going into the book, I'm not sure that I thought it was going to be what it was. I thought, having read the blurb and the cover, I thought this is going to be like a really, really feminist kind of like anti-men book, but it really wasn't that at all. It was more so like a really sad, beautiful story of these women, the situation they find themselves in, and their survival and their humanity. So yeah, that was at all not what I thought it was going to be. It's only a very short book. It's 188 pages, and it's broken down into 3, I wouldn't say chapters because they're not really numbered, but 3 parts. So you've got 3 parts to this book, and yeah, I read through it really quickly within a few days. I know if you're going to sit and read this from start to finish, you could probably get through it in a few hours, but for me, I'm a slow reader, and I was just reading it a little bit before bed each night, so I got through it in like a week. And I was so interested by the story, but I was also so connected to the main character, to the narrator, and to the women in the book, and I just felt so strongly for them. It was really, really moving and emotional at times, and it kind of reminded me of a cross between like The Handmaid's Tale and Dune or something like that. But really, it's really hard to say that this is similar to anything, because I really have never read anything like this before. It was so moving and deep and brutal to read in places. But it was also like a little bit of a coming of age story because of the narrator being in this situation as a child and then growing up with these women. She's kind of trying to find out about herself, her body, like how women's bodies work and all of that. And so, yeah, I just found that combination of the coming of age story with the awful situation and the survival mode that they're in a really interesting thing. This is a translated book as well, and it's so beautifully written, and some of the language in it is so poetic and beautiful. Like, you're reading through the story, and then every now and then you're hit with a sentence that is just so beautiful that it kind of like jolts you out of that moment for just a second. But I just wanted to read you one of my favourite lines in the book, just because I thought it was so beautiful. So it says, Perhaps somewhere humanity is flourishing under the stars, unaware that a daughter of its blood is ending her days in silence. There is nothing we can do about it. And there are just so many really beautiful parts of the book like that, and it's just so, it's just so beautiful and emotional, and yeah, it's so well written. So I'm not going to give away any more than that, because I think if I told you anything more than that, it would just give away the story. And also there's like, it's very open to interpretation. So what my thoughts are of the story might be completely different to somebody else's. All I know is that I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. I connected completely with the characters. I thought it was so beautifully written. It was thought-provoking and emotional and just so beautiful. And I really enjoyed reading it. And I'm gonna rate it a 4 out of 5 stars. 4 out of 5 in my rating system is very good. And yeah, I just absolutely loved reading it. It was like nothing that I thought it would be, and it shocked me and it blew me away, and it's going to sit in my head, and it's beautiful and poetic, and I don't know how much more I can say about it. But if you like dystopian novels, or if you like anything sci-fi related or anything like that, I think you're going to really enjoy this book. Also, if you just want to read about like women and women's struggles and things like that, yeah, absolutely give it a go. If you have read this book, I'd be so interested to know what you thought of it and what your interpretations are. So if you have read it, get in touch with me in the comments and let me know what you thought. I enjoyed it because it was also a quick read, and I'm a slow reader, so that was very helpful for me, especially after having just read 11/22/63 by Stephen King, which took me like ages and was so long. So this was really nice to have a shorter book to read afterwards. I do think that I'm going to read it again. I don't think it's going to be a one and done. I think that, you know, there'll be points throughout my life where I'm going to be like, do you know what, I really feel like reading that and connecting with those women again. So I think this will be one that I'll pick up every now and then. So I would highly recommend this. If you have made it all the way through this video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And by the way, everybody that's been liking, commenting, subscribing to my channel, you mean the world to me, and I really mean that. It's so fun for me to have people to talk to about my hobby, about these books, and about reading, and also connect with you other slow readers, because not everybody in the world can read like 26 books in a week. So it's nice to know that I'm not alone, and I just really appreciate your communication and your support. It's been so lovely. I would love you forever and ever if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel and just chat with me in the comments. It would be lovely. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back next week with another video, and I'll see you then. Bye.